So Mark,
Yeah,
why
so,
Hasule?
Why Hasule? Because I picked Hasule today because, like I said, he's one of those iconic Ugandan players who, I mean, I really needed to talk about, to break down very quickly. This guy started out in Mbale. Of course, he comes from that side. There was, I'll tell you a very quick story about Gangama United. This was a very big powerhouse because Mbale was a powerhouse of football talent production from the 50s, 60s, 70s. Gangama was a very powerful force there. 1976, these guys beat Kofi in the what we call the Kakunguru Cup final now. It was just the Uganda Cup then. Final in 1976 in a shootout. Now, teams started plucking stars out of there. I mean, you've heard of Charles Namakola and Kalailai, who guys went to Night Hill. Certain other guys, John Nabasaka, Clement Baraza, guys went to Simba. Other guys went to prisons. So, I mean, yeah, Eras Wapicho is one of those I remember that went to prisons and also they took players out. KCC had actually taken Peter Wandiete out in 75. You've heard of Wandiete. Yeah. So it was depleted in that sense. There were kids coming through at the time. Hasule was one of them. So they began to take over as the kids now playing for Gangama. And so they began to groom them. Bwire, the goalkeeper, there was Ciro, the striker. Hasule was there. His brother Geoffrey Higenyi was there. Even there was a certain young George Otto. I'll say something about him later. Those guys started to come through. So as they were coming through, Hasule actually started out there as a striker. He was an attacker. He was leading the line for Gangama after the old guys had been taken by several clubs and plucked out of there. Leading the line for Gangama. Played well, got the recognition, and and sometimes he would play on the right wing when Osiro is attacking, as Osiro is attacking up center. So then his story from Gangama was that Mbale Heroes then got promoted. Yeah. Gangama was fading out, sort of. The players from Gangama moved to Mbale Heroes. There was some sort of like coming together. A
Masaka United, Masaka Local Council thing.
So Mbale Heroes takes over as the force there, and those guys all are coming to Mbale Heroes. And Hasule still he's leading the line, like I told you. These guys and playing. 1981. Patrick Kawoya. I've already told Patrick Kawoya's story, but his story and Hasule's really coincide. So 1981, Patrick Kawoya had been like an interim chairman of Villa. In November, on November 1st actually it was, Villa went into polls. Patrick Kawoya goes in there to campaign to stay as the chairman, and he's promising the world. He promises Villa the world. I'm going to bring all the best players here and everything. And guys were saying, this guy has been managing in interim and doing so well. Money is coming into the game and everything. Why not elect him? So they elect him. One of those guys he promised the world to bring in was Paul Hasule, who he brought in from Mbale Heroes. This is, I mean, you remember he brought in Jimmy Chirunda. KCC, I've talked about that when I was talking about
he brought him in 82.
Yeah, and then went and got guys from Kofi, Roger Semere, Frank Chaze, Medi Matovu, those guys, remember those guys. And then he'd gone to UCB and got Dan Lotaro, Fred Moses' older brother I told you about before, and Serada. That's the kind of team Kawoya was assembling. So Villa, so Hasule comes into Villa. He played the Jesse Owen Cup. Many people think Hasule actually came into Villa in 81 because when he came in that late, he played that, what was called the Jesse Owen Cup. I think it was in memory of the American sprinter, the 1936 Olympics gold medalist, that guy. So, but then his real first season was the 82 one. Yeah? And Jimmy Chirunda, as he did, because we'll talk about him sometime in the show, as he did with many other players. He was just a player, but he used to note these things about other players. So he tell you, Dakaba, you fancy yourself as a deep-lying midfielder, but you're actually a winger. You have pace, but you're wasting it in the middle. Go out to the wing and see what happens. He changed many players' roles. We'll talk about Chirunda another day. But Hasule was one of those. He told him, look, Villa have brought in Frank Chaze, and there are so many other attackers. Shaban Mwinda, Rogers and Soboga. You've heard of these names. These are great Villa names there. And several others I've just talked about. Serada had come from Kofi. Guys who were playing either the wing or up front. There were so many. He told him, you know what? You're not going to play there. Come to the back. Let's play together. You are tall. You have got the build of a central defender. So he brought him in there, and they partnered together with, I told you Dan Otaro was playing out right on the right. And they formed a partnership, a great partnership straight away. Villa won the double, or rather, sorry, not the double. Villa won unbeaten in the league, 1982. Yeah. Now Kawoya legacy is taking over. And Hasule was covering so much for Chirunda that Chirunda used to go up front. He was Villa's top scorer when they won that league unbeaten. Hasule was covering for him, and he loved him so. So they formed the partnership, but Chirunda left in '83, if you remember. Chirunda left again. So Godfrey Chisitu, who had been shifted into central midfield, now dropped further back to partner Hasule. To partner Hasule. And they were winning, as you saw, they were winning challenges. They didn't win the '83 league, it was KCC, but then they won again in '84. Hasule was beginning to now morph as well into a right back. He had been playing well as a centre back, but over those years he began to morph into a right back as well because he was doing well there. I told you Dan Otaro left in '84, Fred was his brother. Villa had also brought in John Jumba, JJ Jumba is one of the guys they brought in. He could play there, but he was versatile. He could play everywhere. They also brought in eventually from KCC Yusuf Sonko, who was a good right back. But people loved Hasule because he had this overlapping thing. And so they began to fancy him as a right back. So there was that season in '85 when things went bad. Villa didn't win a title. We didn't win a trophy. KCC won the league, Express won the cup. And Villa had done badly. They kept changing coaches there. They had brought Oti. Oti had been National Council Sports General Secretary, by the way. So when when George Mukasa was suspended, George Mukasa had been coach at Villa. He had an altercation with Uganda's greatest referee of all time on the line, that is Dick Nsubuga. They had an altercation. Villa itself suspended the guy. Oti came in. They brought him as some sort of interim. The guy is NCS General Secretary, the way you see Dr. Well now. And coach at Villa. they bring him to coach at Villa. So he came in and took over '84, won. And then then he had to leave. He left, and then they brought in Ayeko.
Timothy.
Didn't win things as well. So by 1986, Villa had to change coaches. They brought Paul Oma in from Kenya. Oma had been coaching in Kenya. Paul Oma, the legend. So he comes in. And he's the one who now really establishes Hasule as a right back. But one of the other things he did is he stripped the captaincy from Jamil Kasiri. Kasiri had also been brought in by Kawoya.
The goalkeeper.
When he was bringing in those big names and all. But Kasiri had started making disappearing acts, not showing up for training, getting injured, things like that. So Paul Oma stripped him with the armband, handed it to Hasule. Right back now, Hasule had established himself as the best right back in the country under the circumstances. He even got a nickname, V8. I remember when I was watching, they used to call him V8. He had this style, this overlapping style. He used to play with his tongue out on the right like this, biting his tongue, the way Michael Jordan did, and he had that vintage turn where he would beat wingers who were trying to defend him as he advanced. He used to beat them by doing a 360-degree thing on them. It was one of his signature moves and all. And he used to get up there and put very good crosses in. He'd also every once in a while get into scoring positions and all. So this time he's taken over. Villa is winning everything. 86 double, 87 the league, 88 double, 89 again, 90 the league. That period. I'll just summarize it because I can't say everything. So and Hasule is the man. He's the captain. He's the leader. He's the man who doesn't miss a single game. I remember because now for us we were teenagers living in Najanankumbi where he was living. Him and all the Villa players and others and all. And it's one of the things that used to be said about Hasule, his brother Higenyi, and most of the Villa stars. Those guys did not miss a game. I remember when I was a kid, as a teenager, growing up watching football, going to Nachiva, watching these guys. That's one of the things they used to say. Because these guys will play every match, from the league matches to the small
cup games.
All those the cup games and all
and
the
for
small,
Uganda.
And for Uganda and all these small things. Because for Uganda, you remember, Hasule actually even had started earlier with Chirunda. They had taken that partnership in 82, 81, 82, 83 from Villa to the national team, and Latigo was playing as right back then. Latigo, another person I'll talk about on this show later. So Hasule had continued like that. National team and Villa, not missing a single game, playing at the peak of his powers. Because between 1982, when he won his first league, and 1993, when he eventually stopped, it was 8 league titles and 4 cups. So he continued to play and to lead and to be the man until 1991, when he got into that altercation with the referee in Tororo, Villa were going to face UCI. They had so many games in hand because they had so many players on the national team that missed a lot of games.
And also that continental run.
Yeah, continental run as well.
Final,
they got into the final of the Champions League, what we call the Champions League now, if it was to be the Africa Club Championship Cup. And then so that run had meant that Villa missed some domestic matches. So they were playing catch-up on KCC or league leaders. And the games in hand they were playing was one of those, the one in which Hasule got into a physical altercation with the ref and got banned. And all that blood that flew between Villa and Fufa. And Hasule got banned. Villa players abandoned our camp when we were about to qualify for Senegal 92, the AFCON and everything. We were on the verge of that because we were really the best team among very good teams in that group.
Yeah.
And so they didn't. Yeah, so I don't remember him playing for the Cranes after that. 1992, like I've told you guys here on the show before, I was Essex Vakist from SMAC, and I was an apprentice at Villa Park. And so I was there with this legend and several of them, including Majid Musi. Like I told you, they used to live in Najanankombi, where I had grown up in that time. The guys there was half the team was living at Kumuzikiti, near Kumuzikiti, where you know there.
Yeah.
And the other half was living Seventh Day, taking that car road. Hasule and the Katos were there, while the Musisis and Senegalese were this side. So I grew up seeing these guys. As you know, 1992, I went to Villa Park. I remember one of the things that one of the things there, which reminds me that he actually was no longer being called to the national team. Part because of age, but also because of that altercation and the bad blood between him and the federation. You remember Kawe had even tried to become FIFA president and failed. Yeah. Semanoe beat him in the polls. So we were there, and Villa were going to play a pre-season friendly, and I was playing. And I was part of the young boys in there. No licenses, no. I was there with a guy called Mwanga, very good lefty, another guy called Akena Bebi. Well, some of the young guys trying to get into the team. So Hasule, we go to Golden Table. That's where Villa guys used to chill and everything. Put us in the bus. We go to the Cranes camp to get some players so we could beef up and have a strong team. Like I told you, Villa never wanted to lose even the smallest of matches. So Hasule, we're going to Ginger to play Fisheries. You remember there was a team called Fisheries in Ginger back then. This is 92. So we get there. Hasule asks, he asks for Batambuze and one or two other guys from the camp, and he tells Nkemba, you can't come to Genda Kuba Doiro. He said he didn't want these mechanics who were kicking the ball away and he was putting Nkemba in that category. I said, no, I want guys who are going to come and pass the ball with me. So we went in there and I played that. I remember that bit, but that's 92. By 93, now Musisi has left. He's gone to France, and Hasule is about to retire. What happened then is that this is the time when the Franco Mugabes were actually staging that coup against Patrick Kawoya. Yeah, so Kawoya had loved Musisi and Hasule and those guys so much. He loved Hasule so much. He did everything for him. And I mean everything. Yeah. So he got disappointed, and he was disillusioned at this time, and even paranoid, if you like, because of the health issues. So he was thinking that Hasule was one of the guys who was betraying him because he was moving with the Mugabes and all. So Kawoya has thrown out, the Mugabes come in, 93. Hasule, that was officially retires from the game. Mugabe makes him administrative secretary, but also assistant team manager to Tusha. He didn't seem to be too interested in that. You know, when you're hangover from playing and you think you fancy yourself as a player and all, but your powers have waned. So he works on that a little bit, but doesn't like it. Eventually begins to distance himself from Villa, even if he was a mainstay at Golden Table. Hasule loved his bottle. It's one of the things he really loved. So, because I remember even about 95 there, he played these mini leagues and super mini leagues for Simba, and when Simba were trying to get promoted. Sure. By 96, they actually did.
I actually got a chance to watch him in 95.
Simba, playing for Simba?
Yeah. I got a chance to watch
veteran, him. Coming out of retirement.
In a game in Mbali.
Yeah. He had just come out of retirement to do that because he had actually officially retired. So, but then by 96, when those guys got into the league, Hasule now was coaching at State House. And that is the State House where he brought through those kids, the Sekaja group, the Philip Soses and all. Meanwhile, Villa is struggling badly in this period. Express is dominating. Express won the league in 93. Villa won in 94, only just because Express had been deducted points in the boardroom. 95 Express win the double with the Muguas. 96 Popadich comes in, retains the league. 97. So they kept changing the coaches. The Icos came, even Butindo came in, coached, failed. They brought Oti back. Oti, you know, Oti had come back to Villa Park about 95. Then he had got into a very personal scandal with another powerful football man's wife and things. So he like defected to Kigali. They brought him back again. So 97, OT so famously loses the league title to on the final day.
Mark, I want to give you a minute because we want to get into Hasule coaching Villa.
Yeah, that's why I'm coming. Just give me a minute. Yeah, so 97, OT loses the title to KCCA on the last day. You remember I told you the story where he took the Villa away to the camp and KCCA spread propaganda. They penetrated it. He dropped the senior players, the Chizitos and all the Babazis, and played the youngsters, lost the league. 98, opening day of the season, Nambole. Fred Tamale scores one of the most iconic goals in Ugandan football history. That is one of the most iconic.
Against Fred Kajoba.
Against Villa. Of the opening of Nambole.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
These Villa fans had enough of OT and they say, you know what? This is, you got to go. Hasule comes back, 98 Feb. Yeah? And so starts that era. He's playing the young boys that he had found at Villa Park. He's brought the Hassan Bourez have come. He's brought those kids.
Agre Bigala,
Sima, Jeffrey Bokore. We brought the guys from the kids from State House and all. That young Villa team starts. The guy wins the double. 99 wins the league again. Wins it. He won 4 league titles
as coach.
As coach, yeah. 4 league titles and 2 cups as coach. He had won 8 and 4 as player. Now he won 4. And 2 as coach, and had gone into also coaching national team, you remember?
Yeah.
But then they threw him out and brought Harrison Okabue. Yeah. Once Okabue failed to qualify for the Nations Cup, 22. You remember when we had Senegal and Togo in the group? Yeah. Harrison Okabue failed that one.
2002 Nations Cup.
So in 2001, Okabue goes and Hasule takes over. Now, 2001 is the same time that Hasule's contract ran out at Villa. Now he wanted it renewed. He wanted bigger terms and everything. He started absconding from training. He's hanging at Logogo watching boxing or KCCS training. The guys are preparing to go for a Sekafa in Nairobi. And so Villa actually terminated him. So, but he had been at the national team, they terminated him. National team, he also fails there, I remember. But now, by the time he failed in 03, when you remember the Rwanda debacle. We go to Rwanda, draw 0-0, the Okellos failed to score. We come here, Tabula does what he did. You remember that game? It was Hasule's last, I think, in charge as the national team coach. But he had been coaching police at the time, by eventually, by 2003. But then he started falling sick. Yeah. So he starts falling sick. He had been working with Charles Ayeko, who we call Mbuzi. Yeah. So Mbuzi takes over. Hasule is ailing 2004, April 26th.
Hasule is gone.
Hasule is gone, and it's the end of an era of one of the greatest players and coaches of all time.
Everyone watched him in real time. Alan Okello, I want to give you just one word from that story of Mark Sully before we take a break. You've heard about the life of Paul Hasule. Yeah, what do you pick? What do you learn? What's there to take?
Yeah. For me, as a football player, I think he was a wonderful player, and he had the best mentality. He has the best mentality. He has the best attitude towards the game. So he has the winning mentality. So as a player, I would take that. That's all every player wants. We need that. The winning mentality. You need to be a champion every now and then. And maybe also after football, you can still go on with part of the football system. You can do this, you can be the coach, and you still enjoy the game until the end. So, I liked his attitude and the winning mentality.
Thank you very much, Alan Okello, for joining us tonight from Algeria. I wish you all the best, and hopefully you're back in the Uganda Cranes team and taking Uganda back to the AFCON. For Paul Hasule and family, I know some of you are watching this show. I know one of his sons, Edwin, Edwin Jr. May dad continue to rest in peace. Mark.